I was raised in Dominica in a very small village, probably 400 people, very, very small. And a small village does signify there's not a lot of resources. There's not a lot of money flowing. The country, but you do have a lot of food. You do have a lot of natural resources that you can tap into. So that was how I got into knowing what I should drink and what I should eat first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's because that's what we had. So my goal in my business, when we look at the two businesses, is to have a balance and more preventative measures than cures. So although if we have to cure something, we're going to. And what that means for me is I am not against traditional medication and the aspect of taking medicine and going to a doctor. But if we can prevent that, if we can avoid that, if we can save money by doing that and kind of dive into something else that may be preventing us from even being successful, then that's where I come in the middle.
Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey, the podcast where we share valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to podcasts and be part of this journey. Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Good day and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. Today we have with us Fiona Benjamin. She is a mom, wife, wellness enthusiast, clinical therapist, and passionate self-care advocate. She's also the founder of Village Remedies, a holistic health brand offering a wide range of natural products made with Seamoss. Think teas, soaps, ointments, juices, popsicles, and more. Through her work, Fiona blends clinical insights with cultural wellness traditions to support healthier lifestyles. Welcome, Fiona. How are you?
Hi, I am well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. Fiona and I, we're both from the Caribbean. We met each other at Grambling State University while studying there. So it's really good to be able to connect with her again.
Yes, many, many years ago.
I know, right? Makes me think of how old I am.
Yep. But it's always fresh though. Like just the memory of Grambling and the people that we met there because we're all starting fresh in a place we didn't know that existed before we even came there. So that bond that we created, we all, even if we don't keep in contact or connect with each other, that Grambling bond international student thing will always be there because there was a shocker to all of us. Like, where are we?
And we had some good times together. So those were great days for sure.
Yeah, it was the best place for us at that time because we simulated so well and we all did so well. So yeah.
Yes. And I know that with Village Remedies, you have your summer farmers market coming up. Maybe by the time this airs, you would already be selling at the summer farmers market. So I just thought it would be great to just hear a little bit about that before we get into the episode.
Oh yeah, definitely. So every summer We have a market here in my city, Shreveport, Louisiana, and it's the Shreveport Farmers Market. It runs from this year, it's going to run from May 31st to August 23rd. So everyone is going to be down there. It's the best time. Just a lot of vendors from the city and outskirts just offering wellness, holistic, organic, everything wellness. And we are going to be there. We've been there for the past 5 years. So this is our 5th year, and we are so happy to be able to always be at the market and connect with our customers one-on-one. We do other minor markets during the months of February, March, April, but this is our big market. The summer market is always our big thing that we do every year.
Great. And I would love to learn more about how you even get into a farmer's market later on. So I look forward to hearing about that.
For sure.
Yes. So before we do that, let's get into our rapid fire segment. And we are looking for 2 words. One word that describes you now, and one word you would have used to describe yourself as a child.
As a child, I was timid. As an adult, I am very assertive.
So what do you think led to that change?
My experiences, my culture shifted, assimilation. It's not that I have given up who I am. It's I have kind of conformed to where I am in life, and that requires assertiveness. So this is what I give at this point in my life.
Okay. So the business, I know, by the way, I just want to add, so we know that we mentioned you're a clinical therapist, but today we're focusing on your Seamoss business, and it's called Village Remedies. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do in business?
So as a clinician, I am a therapist that provides clinical wellness opportunities for one-on-one individual psychotherapy to patients honing on their mental health. I work with kids also, with kids that are diagnosed or possibly on the verge of being diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, teenagers that are in crisis. I am trauma trained. I do EMDR with a lot of teenagers, and that's a trauma therapy module. My goal is to marry the two. So as a therapist, I focus on depression, anxiety, trauma. As a holistic wellness enthusiast, I want to marry the two, where all my clients that I see, I can offer them the holistic aspect of who they are. So I don't know if you want me to get into that right now, how I came about to get the two, but this is what I do. I provide therapy to kids and adults who may need it and who are aware that they need it. And I also provide wellness and holistic options to people who need it. So my goal in my business, when we look at the two businesses, is to have a balance and more preventative measures than cures. So although if we have to cure something, we're going to. And what that means for me is I am not against traditional medication and the aspect of taking medicine and going to a doctor. But if we can prevent that, if we can avoid that, if we can save money by doing that, and kind of dive into something else that may be preventing us from even being successful, then that's where I come in the middle. Like, hey, let's look at what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're listening to, who you're around, what kind of activities you're engaging in. And then let's see what we can do holistically: mind, body, soul, spirituality. Who's your higher power? And stuff like that. So this is where I'm at and what I do.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. We can talk about that a little bit more because I know what I'm thinking as you build, you definitely are looking at that balance these two and how the two come together to create a holistic approach. So what were you doing before you started your business?
I was actually a clinical director at an agency, a mental health rehab, was working with 260 clients there. And I was the director there overseeing staff, and the staff went out in the field, and I was their director and kind of guided them on what needs to be done with that. That was during COVID. Well, I did it 4 years prior to COVID. Then COVID happened. Then Village Remedies came.
So now, in your business, so it sounds like you're now full-time in business.
Full time on my work life balance time. So I do give it my all, but I'm not or with Village Remedies 24/7 or 8 to 5. I do my therapy. I do work other places, but Village Remedies is intentionally, I am giving it all that I can. So in the future, it will be my one-stop shop. That's my goal. As of now, I'm not there yet.
And since you've been in business, what's one of the best moments you've had in business?
I have a lot of best moments, and they're small and big at the same time. So it's something as a customer coming up to me and say, "Hey, I had a CAT scan and there's nothing on my CAT scan, and my doctor does not know why. It's because I've been using your product for the last 4 Saturdays. And that's the only thing I've been using." Or my daughter was so active and not being directed. I had to redirect her so many times. And then I started giving her tea at night instead of a soda. And I think that's working for us. So those are the small, but small to me because I was raised like that. And I'm like, that's the better thing to do. But it's big in the big scheme of things. And you're like, yeah, that's why I do this. That's why I started this.
Okay. And on the flip side, what's one of the not so good moments that you've had?
The not so good moments that I have is when I doubt myself. Like, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Are you putting everything into it? Especially what I do with traditional medicine being the top of the game, and everybody goes to a doctor. And I try not to sway people away from a doctor, but my goal is to prevent you from even thinking about it. Like, hey, try something else first before we get on medication. So that has been a moment for me. And also me too, to be completely transparent. When I am sick and I don't feel well, sometimes I feel like imposter syndrome can sneak in and be like, oh, here you are. So what would you tell yourself? But then I have to be very honest and be like, well, goal of Village Remedies is prevention better than cure. But if something is happening and you're not aware of it, you do have to get professional help or just a professional opinion. That can creep in sometimes and be like, well, should you go to the doctor because you do believe in prevention is better than cure? So what are you doing? And I'm like, no, you do need to go because you've tried everything else and it's not worked. So this is your chance to be very transparent and say, hey, what's going on with me?
So you're not opposed to the other ways, but you do believe that there are steps that you can take to prevent it. But when it does happen, when and if and when, that you do seek that professional care.
Definitely. And I do have doctor friends that I talk to, that I consult with, and they agree with me. Like, not everybody deserves to come to our office because some people are addicted to going to the doctor and do not seek any other alternatives before they actually go to the doctor. Disclaimer, not that if you're dying, you don't go to the doctor. But what I'm saying is, if you're not taking care of yourself and you expect the doctor to just switch things around, it's not going to happen. So my goal, this is where I come in, to educate you into taking care of yourself. Like I said, don't give your kid a Pepsi first thing in the morning on the way to school and expect them for them to be sitting at their desk, just chill and listening. No, that's not going to happen. They're going to be hyperactive all day, and the teacher is going to call you, and then you have to leave work and go to the school, and then your boss is going to get on you because now you're missing your job. So it's like a domino effect. So we want to prevent those things instead of cure them.
And to be honest, as I get older, I'm realizing, it's so important to take those small steps to help with your health, just to help, especially when age comes creeping up on you, getting yourself ready for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And is there a movie or book that you'd recommend?
Atomic Habits is one of my good books that I read. I'm also reading or listening to something on Audible with Brene Brown. And I like Brene Brown. I like everything Brene Brown. She's a social worker too. So, and she's very relatable. She's from Texas, so she's very relatable. So, but Atomic Habits is 21-day habit forming formula. It really, really works. It really, really works. At least for me, encourage my clients to do it. It's worked for them. We've proven it statistically. It works.
Thanks for sharing that with us. And when we look at how all of this began for you, I know you mentioned that that's the way you grew up in terms of the holistic approach to health. So can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how that led you to where you are today?
I was raised in Dominica in a very small village, probably 400 people, very, very small. And a small village does signify there's not a lot of resources. There's not a lot of money flowing. The country, but you do have a lot of food. You do have a lot of natural resources that you can tap into. So that was how I got into knowing what I should drink and what I should eat. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's because that's what we had. It happened not by choice, but there was not another option. Or even if there was, between two things, that was always good. It was when you look at it as an adult. And my grandmother died when I was very young, but I do remember her a lot. And she used to give me a lot of herbal teas because that's what she had. That's how she was raised. So she kind of passed it on to me. And yeah, I was 9. I was very asthmatic when I was a child, severely, like nebulizers and severely. And I was cured of asthma. Well, they said you never get cured, but it went away. And as an adult, I've never had it. 9 years old, it just disappeared. And that's because of remedies and stuff my mom used to put together. A lot of stuff. I remember her giving me black coffee and oil mixed together. And she used to add some other herbal stuff that I probably cannot pronounce here. So I just know for me, it has worked. And the last time I had an asthma attack was 9 years old from a child who just was severely asthmatic, where my mom would have to be in the hospital 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, so I I know what that's like because my child is actually suffering from asthma. How would I put that? Very scary. So to know that you were able to at least not have had an attack in a while, that's good. I'm listening here so carefully to hear what is it I can do to help her.
Yeah, it is very, like, I remember those attacks. Even now, I can feel like my chest, the tightening of the chest by talking about it because there's trauma attached to asthma. You literally feel like you're dying. Like this is your last breath. Like that, no child deserves to go through that. Even as an adult, when I get a cold, I have to make sure I nip it in the bud, and I have to make sure that I don't put myself in a position to get colds because that is something they said that asthma never goes away. It kind of just lay low for a while, but it can be triggered. So I'm so happy that whatever I'm doing as an adult has not triggered it. And it's part of me wanting to be well.
Like for me, who has a child that has asthma, what's one of the biggest things you'd say that can be done from what you've learned growing up and what has been used for you to help that child?
Definitely herbal teas. I took a lot of she used to give me black coffee and oil. I remember that. She used to make
The coffee that they say kids shouldn't drink.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Black coffee and oil. And like I said, other herbs I can't pronounce on here or I can't mention on here. So the blackest coffee that would probably have like high caffeine in it, obviously. But
So I know growing up in the Caribbean myself, there are a lot of things the older folks would do that not scientifically proven, but for people swear by it. So it sounds like that's probably one of those things. I don't know if there's any scientific evidence there, but I do know that there are things back home that we do that helps, that there are certain people you can go to in the community that could actually help you. I don't know if it's still something that's done back home, like going to specific people to help you to heal. So that's something that's still done where you.
yeah, there's certain people you go to get rubbed or a massage if you have a broken bone or a back pain. I know this lady that lived in another village. She just died. I think she was 9 years old, and she was still giving people back massages.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. We all do things differently where we're from, so it's good to learn about other people's ways of doing things. And do you remember the first time you thought about actually starting a business?
Oh, yeah, I do. It was during COVID. Well, I've had a business before COVID. 2019 is when I started my private practice. So I've had that. But I always knew that I wanted to integrate my private practice into something bigger. But I did not know what. I was thinking group practice because what I did not want to happen is I did not want to get burnt out as a clinician with a whole caseload and continuously providing therapy to people can be very taxing because what happens, you have to give so much of yourself to everyone and show up for everyone. And honestly, when you provide therapy to one person, that person is attached to 10 other people, a husband, a child, a mother, some narcissistic person somewhere that's connected to 5 other people. So your brain is like literally trying to compartmentalize with one person, 10 other people, right? So I knew when I started my therapy business that it had to be something besides just that I wanted to do, but I didn't know what it was. And then your COVID happened, and then Village Remedies came to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up and I called my friend, and I'm like, oh, because during COVID we were up, like we were just we had time. People was home all the time, so you slept during the day or whenever you wanted to. And it was early COVID, like March, like right at the beginning of COVID. And it was an unknown territory. So you slept during the day or you had all these downtime. So you was never tired. And I called my friends like, oh, I want to do this. And she was like, okay. What you going to call it? I was like, I don't know. So my initial thought was writing a book to talk about how we can take care of ourselves during this time. So it was always wellness related. And I wanted to put pen to paper and I actually did. I actually did write something. then it's just sitting there. And I got somebody on Fiverr, put it together, and it's just sitting there. And one day I'll probably put it up. But, and then the book I got in contact with like a social media content creator. She was a teacher and she was teaching how to create content, and she was talking, and I'm like, by the way, I want to take this to a next level. I want to actually get the products that I'm talking about in the book, because it became where a lot of us was just wondering, what are we going to take? At one point they said to drink bleach, right? At one point we heard to smell onions and oranges and put your head over the stove and drink a lot of tea. And we kept hearing drink a lot of tea, go stand in the sun, before the vaccine even came to light, what we need to do for COVID. And I'm like, there are so many things that we can tap into. And while I was talking, I was doing therapy from home, and I was talking to my clients, and I am like, the way that these people are thinking, and there's no chance that they're going to leave or we're going to leave, because COVID was taking us out. So I decided, like, yeah, let me put it on paper. And then like I said, once I started talking to the content creator lady, I was like, I'm putting it in the book. I'm putting it in real life. I'm getting the product. I am sourcing the products. I am bringing the products here. And I just started getting confirmation, because I was literally talking to one of my coworkers on the phone, and just not about anything. Oh, we were talking about the smelling and how to put your head over the stove when you have COVID, and do the steam, because that was one of the remedies. Do a steam inhale, almost like you're doing a facial, but you're inhaling the stuff. And she was asking me, well, what should I put in there? And I was like, well, I heard you put onions, whole onions, garlic peel, crush the garlic, put the peel, and cut an orange. And she was like, how do you peel a garlic? And I waited, and I was like, what? She's like, I've never had garlic before. I've never used the garlic. I'm like, you know what? This is confirmation. I need to tell you people, I need to give you people a lesson. And then she said, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I'm like, seriously, I need to like let people know, because clearly maybe it's just where I am in the part of the world. Because obviously there's a lot of people that knows that. But my point is, there are a lot of people that did not know. And it may be of ignorance, but a lot of it was because that was just not in their culture. They was just not exposed to that. They had garlic powder all their life. Why would they use garlic? We never had garlic powder growing up. Well, I didn't. I had to peel the garlic all my life.
So that's the kind of things you touched on in the book.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it started off as a book, and as it progressed, it eventually became where as I'm going through all of this and thinking this through for the book, you're realizing that you need to now bring those products to people. So that takes us to the products that you have available. So I know you mentioned the Seamoss gel, and tell us some more.
So I do a Seamoss gel, and I sell it in different flavors. And once again, it's for easier consumption, because I started doing just Seamoss gel, and I was raised on Seamoss, and I just knew Seamoss has a texture and Seamoss has no flavor. So I started flavoring them with mango, pineapple, strawberry. I had a whole host of fruit flavors. And I started doing a ginger, and I started doing bladderwrack. Bladderwrack also comes from the ocean like Seamoss. So once I started progressing on at the market, I kind of cut down on the amount of flavors that I have, and now I have 6 flavors. And I do have essential oils. I have soaps that are made with Seamoss and goat milk infused. I do a Seamoss popsicle, and that started because I wanted my daughter to take the Seamoss, and she would not chug it down. Sometimes I would mix it in her food because it masks very easily. You can't tell if you put Seamoss in mac and cheese. She won't know. But sometimes if you're a busy mom and you're cooking, that might not be on your mind. So then I created a popsicle. And she was my tester, and she loved it. So we made one day we were home. I was in the area blending my Seamoss and putting it together. and I just put some pink lemonade in there. And she's like, I love this. And then just give me a great idea. And I started making mango, berry, watermelons, popsicle, and pineapple popsicle. And that was a hit.
So it sounds like you have quite the production there. So I want to know more about how you source the Seamoss, how you even how do you brand all of this, the bottles? Like what does that production line look like? So first let's cover the sourcing of the raw materials and then what happens after.
Well, you source the raw materials from the islands. That's what I stand on. That's what makes me unique, because there are like 3 other vendors in my area that I know of that has the product, but my product continues to grow. It's at 4 of the stores in the city. So one thing that sets me apart is my product comes from Dominica, St. Lucia, or Grenada. Most of it is from Dominica, but I have in the past got some from St. Lucia and Grenada. I go get them myself, or if I am able to find someone that's traveling, they'll bring it back for me. But most times, because of the weight and the complexity of customs, I have to go get it myself. So that's a big, hefty price tag to have to go source product on a plane and come back and all of that. But I started business on that stance, and I want to stay on that stance. Eventually, we will be able to get it right next to us. They are able to ship it. However, it's very pricey because of where I live. Because I live in Shreveport, Louisiana. We don't have a lot of open ports and stuff that's close to us. We don't have a major airport and that kind of stuff. But I'm close to Dallas, and eventually we'll get it there. So this is how, where I source my products. So my products, I have a farmer back home who used to farm the product. We're in communication with him all the time. Sometimes it's not always easy because we have bad storms, we have hurricanes, and all of it sometimes go down the drain. Sometimes people get overwhelmed and we can't get the products. So it's a work in progress, but we get it done.
And in terms of like actually the production of it, so for instance, you said you do the gel, the soap. So are you doing all of this by yourself? Do you have a team? What does the process look like?
My team is my husband and myself. Yes. And we do the blending and the mixing and all of that of the product. My husband is more of the labeler, the jars, the sealing, because we have to seal it and ensure that it's enclosed, the packing. We try to make our Seamoss fresh every time, but if we're going to a big market, sometimes we'll do it overnight, and he stuck it in our big freezer, and we have a section that's just Seamoss.
And you mentioned stores. How do you get into stores?
Oh boy. Customers love you, and customers vouch for you. I will say that. And your relationship with people too. Most of the stores that I've gotten to, the people here are very nice. Shreveport has a lot of nice and understanding business people. I've had people where the product did not do well, and they've mentioned other business owners where it might do well. So that's why I say they're I use the word nice, but very business oriented and want to see you do well. So the Seamoss does not always do well in all areas. For example, I had it in a yoga studio. One lady had it and she thought it was going to do great because she loved the product herself, but it didn't do well there. I also had it at a gym, and the lady was, oh my God, it's going to do so great. We love your product, but it didn't do well there. Although it's a gym, but I have it at this big supermarket and it does great. I have it at this little grocery local store and it does great. I also had it at a little organic boutique and it did well there. So different areas, different people, although the people I target are wellness people, but I guess based on how much you push the product too, because if the Seamoss is at the gym, but no one knows it's at the gym, that's different. So a lot of it has to do with my social media and how I push it and how I vouch for it on there.
So, it sounds like you're growing quite a bit. I'm just wondering if you can think of another bold step that you've taken. If I look back from what we've talked about, you've started the business, you've grown the business to a place where you actually have products in stores and in other places where people can access it. Just looking at your journey, are there other bold steps that you can think of that you've taken so far?
Every step is bold. One of my biggest thing is doing the content creation for the product. That to me is because I was always like, I just want to sell the product. I do not want to be behind the product. I want to just tell people buy it. But that does not always work because people want to connect with you and they want to know where you're getting it from. Who are you? What are you doing? So a bold step I've taken is to incorporate my lifestyle into my product. And I do photo shoots. I include my daughter. I include my husband because he's a personal trainer. So we try to incorporate all of that into our wellness lifestyle. And I think to me, that is one of the bold things because I was just like, I want to keep my family and my life separate and I want to do this, but we're in a different world. People want to know. And if you're going to sell me something, I want to know where I'm getting it from and what are you doing and who are you and where do you live and how old are you? Right? So
From what I've seen, I can see that your daughter is quite the ambassador.
she is. She is. She'll be great. She'll be great. She gives me ideas all the time. Literally, we walked into a store yesterday and it was a soap store. And I went in there. I like their body scrub. And she was like, why don't you talk to those people? You could probably put your Seamoss in their store. I'm like, we're in Texas and we're on vacation. Relax.
Sounds like you have quite a business person there.
She is. She is. Her wheels are always spinning.
So tell me about networking because I listened to you talk about gym and the different places that you tried your product. And it sounds like there are people telling you, you should try out this place and that place. So to me, that tells me there's a lot of networking happening and there's quite a community there supporting you. So tell us a little bit more about that.
For some reason at the market, it's like a family. And I think that's where all my networking comes from, the farmer's market. That's why I absolutely love this place. Every good thing that has happened to my company and Village Remedies, mainly, I mean, not every, but 90%, it came from something at the market, a conversation with someone I'm selling to, and they're like, hey, by the way, I live in Arkansas and I need you to put this product in the store. I am giving you this number. It happens like that. Easy. Another thing too is people recognize me from being a clinician. So we start talking about, hey, how to take care of your mental health. And not that I'm doing therapy right on spot, but I try to keep it like, just vague and open. And I think me as a person and as a clinician, they connect with me on that. So we network on that end, and the back end is Village Remedies gets the boost.
And how did you get into the farmer's market? And for somebody selling something like Seamoss, which is a food item, are there specific things that you need to be able to participate in a farmer's market?
Yeah, you need insurance. You need to go by the laws and go to the meetings and do the classes and stuff. Definitely. I literally walked up and asked them, what's the deal? What do I need to do? And they kind of guided me on the steps.
And 5 years later, you're still there.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about blossoming now. What does success look like for you, or what do you consider to be success?
Success for me would be in a space where my products are in Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, just really flourishing there. My goal is not to be at every market, but I think as long as I have this business, I'll be at a market because I absolutely love it. It's my outlet from what I do every day. So definitely want to get to a bigger, the next step where I don't have to be in front of the customers every day to push the product, which right now it's happening, but on a bigger scale. And to just have my book published one day, maybe a wellness journal, everything wellness.
Okay, so we know to look out for the book for sure, and to look out for you at Whole Foods as well.
I mean, I've been talking about this book for 5 years and it's literally just sitting there.
Well, be sure to tell us when it's out, okay? We do have this segment we call Spotlight segments, where we spotlight things happening in the moment. So we'd be happy to have you back on there when after your book comes out or getting ready to get it out there. For a person starting businesses or somebody who's already in business and they're looking to grow, can you share about 3 tips that you tell them?
Be authentic, be yourself. When you're starting a business, your business a reflection of who you are. So I think one of the biggest takeaways is I actually believe in Village Remedies. I use it. I've lived it. So that for me is, it does not feel like it's work. I'm very passionate about it. That's like my baby next to my daughter. So being passionate about what you set your mind to, whether I go to a market and I make 500 or 75, I'm grateful because I have met people. I have educated people. Someone may not have ever known what Seamoss is or what a herbal tea was. And from today, they know. So that to me is a win. So networking and being passionate about your business, for sure. Being authentic about your business, making your business be a representation of who you are. So definitely those things.
Okay, great. And how can we reach out to you?
Definitely. I am on Facebook, Village Remedies, my website, www.villageremedies.com. You can go there and buy products. We ship around the United States. I ship to Japan. I ship to, if you're in the military, that is. Yeah. So those 2, Instagram, official Village Remedies is my Instagram, TikTok, Village Remedies.
Okay. And we will be sure to include that in the show notes as well. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us today and for sharing so much with our audience.
For sure. Anytime. I love to do this. I love to talk about Village Remedies. It's, like I said, it's my baby and I just hope to see it grow. And I can't wait to get to the market this summer. If you're in Shreveport, come see me at the Shreveport Farmers Market on Crockett Street.
Okay, well, thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you.
A quick note before we wrap up. The insights and experiences shared by our guests are their own. We love creating space for real conversations about business and growth, and everyone's journey is unique. Therefore, this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. It is not meant to replace legal, financial, or other professional advice. So we encourage you to take what's useful, do your own due diligence, and build what works best for you.
Thanks for listening to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. We hope today's conversation gave you the insights and inspiration you need to move forward on your own path. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. Do you have feedback? We'd love to hear from you at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com. Join us again next week for a new episode.